Sports. Sports is a great form of entertainment all around the world where traditionally the more skilled player or players in that specific sport comes out on top. However, sometimes these sports can get a little fishy. From refs fixing games, betting scandals, cheating, the mafia, and players purposely throwing games, these are the top 10 biggest scandals in sports history. Let's start with number 10, and to do so we have to head back to the 2002 NBA playoffs. In the Western Conference Finals, the Los Angeles Lakers faced the Sacramento Kings to reach the championship. The Kings were up 3-2, and in Game 6, where they needed only one more game to reach the finals, everything turned for the worse. The fourth quarter of the game was blatantly rigged. Every offensive play by the Kings was called as a charge. Every shot the Lakers took had a foul. With Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, the Lakers made it to the free throw line 27 times in the fourth quarter alone, which also set the Kings into major foul trouble, bringing in deep bench players. This undeservingly brought the Lakers back in to claim a 106-102 victory. What David Stern wanted was to have the Lakers in the finals as they bring much higher television ratings, and so it happened. Now earning 9th place are the suspicious events of Spygate and Deflategate by the Patriots during the Tom Brady era. On September 9th of 2007, in the first game of the Patriots season that would later result in an undefeated record, they faced the Jets. This scandal included the NFL busting the Patriots staff illegally videotaping defensive coaching signals by the Jets in an unauthorized location. Even though the game resulted in a blowout, this still remains a controversial topic in the NFL. Now, the second scandal involving the Patriots is during the AFC title game in 2015 against the Colts. Tom Brady was accused of allegedly deflating footballs to thereby make them more catchable and easier to grip, which was dubbed the name Deflategate. Even though Tom Brady's throwing stats were worse when the ball was deflated rather than inflated, the Patriots still won the game, which brought them to a Super Bowl. Now we go back to the 1986 FIFA World Cup for our number 8 spot. During a 0-0 draw in the quarterfinal matchup between Argentina and England, Diego Maradona of Argentina scored a goal that bounced off his hand, which under association football rules was illegal.
Maradona just walked away from Hoddle then. Valdano, smoked and Maradona! They're appealing for offside. The ball came back.
However, as the referees didn't have a clear view of the play and the technology used to check plays back then didn't exist, the goal stood and Argentina later took a 2-1 victory and won the World Cup. This stands as a huge controversy in association football and was nicknamed the Hand of God. Next, at 7, is the Boston College point-shaving scandal. In the 1978-79 season, the American Mafia bribed the BCU players to win by a required margin per game so the gamblers would know where to place wagers against their opponents and win a lot of money from it. Many were involved in this act, which was led by the Perla brothers. However, the FBI soon uncovered the scandal and the people involved were arrested.
Clay takes the lead at the start, as he did tonight.
Now, at number 6, we go all the way back to 1965 to see the fight between Sonny Liston and Muhammad Ali. Now, you probably know Muhammad Ali was one of the best boxers of all time, but you might not know Sonny Liston. Liston was a boxer who, like Ali, was one of the most dominant in his time and was sitting at the top of the throne. In one of the most anticipated fights in boxing, Ali, or Cassius Clay at the time, threw a punch at Liston which knocked him out at only the 1-minute 44-second mark, and fans immediately questioned the punch as they had not seen the impact of it. This was nicknamed the Phantom Punch, widely regarded as a fixed scandal, and Liston later ended up dead in what many assume as a mob hit. At number 5, we head a few years back to the Houston Astros stealing signs in the World Series. Astros bench coach Alex Cora installed a television monitor in the dugout to tip pitches, and the players banged specific codes on a trash can to help the batter know what pitches were coming. Additionally, later in 2019, Astros player Altuve was supposedly too shy to remove his jersey after a walk-off home run, raising speculation that he used electronic buzzers in his jersey to steal signs. Even though the Astros kept their title as 2017 World Series champions, the public would soon shame them and the franchise would be punished. Next at 4 is a crazy incident of Tonya Harding. There are many movies and documentaries on this subject, but I'll just oversimplify it. Tonya Harding was a figure skater during the 90s who became infamous for trying to sabotage her rival, Nancy Kerrigan. Kerrigan was prettier, better, and America's sweetheart compared to Harding, who came from poor descent. So Harding hired a boyfriend to hit Kerrigan with a baton in the leg and knock her out of competition before the Olympics. However, despite being in the midst of a fiasco, Harding bombed the Olympics and was caught for her crimes. Never figure skating ever again. Now we enter the top 3, with the 1919 Black Sox scandal coming in its place. Probably the most iconic scandal in all of sports. 8 players from the Chicago White Sox purposely threw the World Series. And the World Series is the most popular event in all of baseball, and definitely the most popular in that specific era of America. These 8 men all did so in exchange for money from a gambling syndicate led by Arnold Rothstein. Next, at number 2, we have Lance Armstrong. And what's not to like about American cyclist Lance Armstrong? Survivor of testicular cancer that recovered to dominate the Tour de France with 7 titles and posed as America's hero with bracelets. Gosh, he also married Sheryl Crow. Well, after a large investigation, it was soon discovered that Armstrong had doped with performance-enhancing drugs to achieve those titles. All of his medals were soon stripped away and Armstrong retired. And with that, we have one more scandal to go. But let's first see some honorable mentions. Stephen Hedrick Smith, ASU player involved in point shaving. Tim Donaghy, fixed games as an NBA ref and was arrested. 1972 Olympics, Russia versus USA in basketball. Everything went Russia's way all game long, and they were given 2 chances by the refs to make a game-winning shot at the end of regulation, and did so for their 50th gold medal. Russian tennis player Yana Sizikova was arrested after allegations of match fixing in the French Open. And finally, for the number 1 spot, we head back to baseball with the biggest scandal in all of sports history, Pete Rose. Pete Rose leads the entire MLB with hits throughout all 150 of its seasons, yet he will never be in the Baseball Hall of Fame for this scandal. Here's what happened. When Rose was a manager for the Reds in 1989, he was accused of gambling on baseball games. Now, think of it like this. If Rose bet for his own team of the Reds, that would tell the gamblers that the Reds would most likely win that game, and they should bet for them. If he didn't bet at all during a Reds game, that was telling the gamblers that it could go either way, and they shouldn't bet on it. Not only was this bad, but extremely shameful considering the power he had as the manager of the Reds. As a result, Pete Rose received a lifetime ban from the sport. That is it for this video. Thanks for watching, and Slip and Sammy signing out.